I like that.
Now, I will say, I don't think that HR teams do a great job in educating employees on
It's a really
what's
good
offered.
point. Yeah.
And even if they do, a lot of times they throw like, oh, well, we'll throw our 401k administrator in there to talk about the 401k plan, but it's not resonating with people. It's too high
Yeah.
level. It's oftentimes very antiquated. It's mansplaining,
Yeah.
and people they're like, I can't understand this. So there's a lot of
Interesting.
opportunity out there for HR teams to and then the HR teams say, well, we don't touch tax. But you can educate people around tax and all
Absolutely.
of that and help them make decisions.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of opportunity there. I'd love to one day add that to my financial coaching services where I'm working with employers to help educate
Yeah.
their employees
Absolutely.
To give them
on
a full
compensation.
picture, right?
Yeah,
And just some
absolutely.
education on what each of these things is and where you are in your life kind of might make a difference and things like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
too.
Hi there, and welcome to the HR Podcast. This is Linda Misegadis.
And Cyndi Manuel, and we'll be your co-hosts. After spending years working in and with HR, we thought, why not start a podcast to support the important HR community? We believe the way things have always been done isn't necessarily what's going to work in the future. So we're diving into topics that support HR and working women as they navigate the future of work. We're talking about professional growth and also how we can support each other as human beings.
We can't wait to bring you insights from HR experts, thought leaders, and inspiring women who are making a real difference in their organization and communities. They'll share their journeys and tips on balancing work and life in a better way. We're excited to learn alongside you and hope you'll pick up some great takeaways from tips and tricks to worksheets that you can actually use in your daily life. So grab your favorite beverage
Or lace up your walking shoes and join us for the HR Her Resources podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Her Resources podcast. I'm here in the studio with my stupendous co-host, Cyndi Manuel. How are you?
I am stupendous today. I'm
Are
feeling
you stupendous today? Good.
I don't know if I'm
good.
stupendous. I'm feeling stupendous. I was checking out my garden yesterday.
Yeah.
And for those people who don't know me, I've always thought of myself as a brown thumb. But if you looked at my garden, you wouldn't think so. It is crazy, out of control, like over the top. And I'm like, I have to get in there and prune that dang thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
it's
is
awful,
that's
but it looks
awesome.
delicious. So
I
and
mean,
it's green.
awesome that it's growing and
Yeah,
everything is
I'm shocked.
prospering. Yeah, so that's good. But
Yeah.
yeah, they do take quite a bit. My mom was quite the gardener, as you know, and she always had that massive roses garden and everything out there,
Yeah.
and so she was always out there. But she liked it, and you said you like it too.
I
Me,
love the
it
dirt.
just feels like a pain to be out there doing that. So I like to look at it. I don't want to work that hard at it. So, oh my goodness. Well, today's episode is all about money, not just how to earn it, but how to use it and to build freedom, confidence, and a future that you love.
I'm
So
excited.
here's our hook. I know, me too. What if your money could buy you more than things? What if it could buy you freedom? Today, we're diving into a topic that affects every woman, whether you've just started out, or you're pivoting careers, or you're planning your legacy. And we're not just talking about dollars and cents. We're talking about power, freedom, and the future. So I want to, as usual, start with a few numbers that might actually surprise you. I use this one a lot, so this one shouldn't surprise you. But in the U.S., women earn just 82 cents for every dollar paid to men.
Yeah.
That's over a $10,000 in lost income every year, and the gap is even wider for women of color. That's just still shocks me, Cyndi, every time I hear it. So,
It's so disappointing.
oh my goodness, it is. And the kicker is that women have actually earned more college degrees than men for decades, more bachelor degrees since 1982, more masters since 1987, and more doctorates since 2006, but the pay gap persists. And it's not just about earnings. 43% of women globally have never asked for a raise, and 56% say they're not paid enough. And that is a mindset and a system we need to change, which we're trying to do through our platform. Women now make up 47% of the US workforce, but in the highest paying jobs like physicians and lawyers, only 35% are women. And when it comes to bonuses and retirement, we're still behind. But here's the opportunity. The great wealth transfer is underway, and women are poised to inherit and manage more wealth than ever before. That means leadership, legacy, and financial literacy matter more than ever. So today we're talking about how to make smart money moves, shift your mindset, and build wealth that aligns with your values, because your money should work for you, not the other way around. And to help us with that, we have this amazing guest in our studio today, Alana D'Angelica. Alana is a former finance professional turned tech executive and now a passionate financial coach for women. After starting her career at Morgan Stanley, she pivoted to tech during the 2009 recession, helping grow Indeed.com from 50 to over 6,000 employees. Today, Alana runs a financial coaching business focused on empowering women through savings, budgeting, credit, and debt education. Her 6-month coaching program supports single women, often in tech, who are preparing for entrepreneurship. She's also launching an investing community designed to demystify wealth building through monthly book club style sessions, which I love.
Yeah.
Alana's mission is to help women align their money with their values and career goals, bridging the gender wealth gap one decision at a time. Welcome to the studio, Alana.
I know, right? Welcome, Alana. Woohoo!
Thank you. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And you nailed it on my bio. You got my whole story down. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely. Well, you have had quite a journey. So can you share with our listeners a little bit more about your story? Because, I mean, going from Wall Street to tech leadership to entrepreneur is quite a journey. So walk us through your path.
Certainly. So yeah, like you mentioned, I started my career in finance. In the early 2000s, I got my first job at Morgan Stanley, and I really loved finance. I loved the company. I took advantage of their tuition reimbursement program at the time. I don't even think it's offered anymore.
Yeah.
Got my MBA in finance during the evenings. But then in 2008 came the Great Recession, they call it. It's when the market crashed and the real estate bubble burst and all of that. It was a really exciting time to be there because it was doom and gloom every day on the news. And I was working in Midtown New York City with reporters outside of my building. But ultimately, it was a time of doom and gloom, and it was not the best time to be working there. And ironically, it was kind of my first financial tipping point as well, because working at Morgan Stanley, I had come to rely on my annual bonus as a significant portion of my salary. And so being young and naive in my 20s, I spent the year racking up credit card debt, hoping that I would be able to pay it at the end of the year with my annual bonus, which I had no thought that I thought it was guaranteed.
Right.
But when the markets crashed and, all eyes on the banks for the bailout, Morgan Stanley froze salaries and bonuses. So there I was with debt that was about half of my annual salary in credit card debt. And so at that point, I had to learn that my irresponsibility had to be, reined in, and I spent some years paying off that credit card debt. I still wanted to remain in the financial field, but my current job at the time was just, there was no work to do, and I was getting nervous about a layoff. So I started looking for a job, and for 9 months, I looked for a job in finance and couldn't find one. And then the website I was using to find a job was a new website called Indeed.com. I saw they were hiring out in Connecticut, so reverse commute from New York City, but desperate times. And so I joined a tech startup, and it was way different than the big global bank. But joined there, and it was about 50 people. And I was doing what was called client services, client success at the time. And I was lucky enough that it was a rocket ship. It was a great growing company, doubling, tripling revenue year over year over year, growing, doubling, tripling headcount year over year. And I grew my career in management there, leading their customer success team. So this is the team that builds relationships with customers as well as supports their customers. And another kind of learning during that time was in about 2012, we got bought by a larger company called Recruit, a Japanese company. And so being an early employee, I got an options payout.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it didn't make me a millionaire.
Right.
At the time, it wasn't life-changing money, but it was more than I knew what to do with in my 20s.
Awesome.
So I asked some friends who seemed to be doing well as well, got a recommendation for a financial advisor, and handed all that money over to him. I took my eye off it for a while. And then one day I took a look and realized he was charging me really heavy fees. And also he was losing me money, and the markets were doing really well.
Wow.
So I fired him and took the step that I really wasn't going to trust anyone with my money ever again. And that, having an MBA in finance, you would think I should know what to do with my money. But honestly, what you learn in school, it really doesn't. When you learn in finance, it doesn't translate to personal finance so well. So I spent a lot of time playing with money in the market and learning from it. And something I share with the women that I coach is that, they've got to just take that first step and have some play money to really remove that fear of understanding how the markets work and how investing works. So I was at Indeed till 2018. And through that investing, I was able to build a little bit of a nest egg and a savings. And in 2018, I decided to take a career break after my second child was born. And so that savings allowed me to do that.
Sure.
And this is when I learned about the financial coaching profession, and I started to do it voluntarily, free. Just whoever would let me kind of work with them on all of these things. And I learned a lot more about how financial coaches work and all of that. So I was doing that and hoping to make it into a business. But then my husband got laid off, and he had started a business of his own on the side as well, which was doing a lot more than my financial coaching business at the time. So I went back to work in tech, joined several other high growth tech companies leading their customer success teams. And then also during this time, I learned about the financial independence movement. So this is the idea of hyper saving and investing your money so that you can maybe retire early, but oftentimes for a lot of the people who are interested in this, it just means buying yourself some freedom. And so I started to work towards that. In 2024, I was laid off. And I had been working towards this financial independence goal. And I decided that I had reached enough of a runway. I'm not retire early yet. But that I could now try to launch this financial coaching business. And
Good
so that's
for
what
you,
I've been doing.
Alana.
Thank you.
Amazing.
I've been doing that, and I also do consulting in the customer success world where I have a lot of experience as well. So like Linda mentioned, my coaching program is a one-to-one coaching program where I work with women on budgeting, savings, credit, debt, investing, and really get deeply personal with them and what they need to build the freedom that they want. And sometimes it's climbing the ladder, and sometimes it's entrepreneurship, and really helping them gain clarity, confidence, and control around their money.
Love
Absolutely.
that. What a powerful story. Like
Right?
you're not just teaching this stuff. To you, it's not theory. You've lived it.
And
I
yeah,
think that
I've lived
brings
it.
a lot of credibility to what you do. So very exciting.
Thank you.
absolutely. No,
Yeah.
I totally agree. Well, and so like if we roll up our sleeves and get a little tactical, if you were given some advice to our listeners out there, what are 5 money moves that every woman should consider right now?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, I've led teams and worked with a lot of different women, and kind of the framework that I think works with women who are feeling like maybe they're making a paycheck, but they don't have anything to show for it, or something
Right.
like that. I think the first starts with setting a vision. And so I don't know if you've done this, but you're in the HR world, so probably the Gallup Strengths Finder.
Yeah.
I am always, I've taken it a number of times, futuristic. That's my leading
I
strength.
like that. Yeah.
And so, you get your first job, and often you fall into it,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just happy to have a job,
Right.
and you're just happy to have a paycheck, and you're not experienced enough to really scrutinize what you want to do and what you don't
Oh.
want to do, and all of that. And but I encourage people to take a pause after a certain amount of time, right, and start to work on that vision. And then you build the money plan that supports that.
I
So
love that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So some of the things I encourage people to ask themselves are like, what would you do? What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Right?
Yeah,
It's such
that's
a
a great
broad
way to
question,
approach it. Yeah.
but think about that. Get it down on paper. Right? Brain dump every thought that comes to your mind, and then you start to build this vision. What's your ideal view of work? For some people, it is a 9 to 5, 40-hour a week job,
Yeah.
and for some people, it's not.
Yeah.
What are the hopes and dreams you have for your career? Um, what would you do if you achieve financial freedom? And when I say financial freedom, it means your investments make enough money to cover your expenses. So you don't
Yeah.
have to work to cover your expenses.
Yeah.
So if you got to that place, what would you do?
Yeah.
And oftentimes you'd still want to do some work, right? And you can probably
Sure.
get paid for that work. So how do you get there? How do you bridge the gap to build a runway to be able to do that?
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
step one, starting with the vision.
I like that. Yeah.
Step two is typically more black and white now, right? That's the visionary, the lofty stuff, the softer stuff, really digging deep in you. But then you've got to get into the numbers. And one of the things I really hear from a lot of women is, I'm not a numbers person.
Yeah.
I'm not a math person. And I really want women to stop saying that. So I do a lot of work around breaking down those barriers. But
It's awesome.
the numbers that you need to know are first, your expenses. Just what are you spending? Second, your net worth. That's your assets minus your debt. And third, what is the interest that you're earning on your investments? So back to my financial advisor story.
Right.
While I blindly gave this financial advisor my money to manage, though I sort of knew better, once I looked at the interest rate he was earning me, which was negative, and what the markets were doing, I knew I had to pull the money out.
Oh, sure.
So,
Yeah.
so those three numbers. When I talk about expenses, that's the first step. So I recommend that people use an app. There's a lot of great apps out there. My favorite is Monarch Money, but there's YNAB. There's a number of different ones that you can set up to link up your credit cards, your bank accounts, and see where you're spending and trend it month over month, year over year. If you're not comfortable with that, I have a worksheet on my website that you can manually enter all of your expenses.
Awesome.
And so when you're making a paycheck, right, it's easy. Money in, money out. You start to feel a little bit comfortable. You don't look at the expenses, but once you bring them into these apps or you put them into a spreadsheet, you start to see, wow, I'm spending this much money on this. And over years, these unnecessary expenses start to compound. And so if you can just set a couple of days a year, right? It does take some work, but it's a couple of days to
Sure.
analyze what you're doing, work on negotiating some of those rates that could be cheaper. And a lot
Good
of things are
point. Yeah.
negotiable. Insurance is one that's very negotiable. Car insurance, house insurance, etc. And then cutting expenses, the things that you forgot that you even signed up for.
Yep, right.
No, you
Always.
don't need anymore. There's so much of that starts to add up and compound. You're going to save thousands of dollars a year, and that savings compounds over time as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When you
Yeah.
save that money, Alana, do you then recommend that you invest that, whatever you're saving, or at least a portion of it, to start to make money on that? Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, so in general, I want to be sure that people have a certain amount of liquid cash. Women have a certain amount of liquid cash
Good point. Yeah.
on hand. But once they've got that, and that's really just knowing how much your expenses are, you have to know your expenses first, your critical expenses.
Yeah.
Then everything should really be moving towards some sort of investment, even if it's a more conservative, because you might need it in the shorter term.
Sure. That makes a lot of
Awesome.
sense. No, definitely. Well, and I'm curious, as you're working with women, my guess is that, and I'm curious about this, are most women, do you find them to be just afraid? Like, is it just that fear of, one of it is like not feeling like you're a math whiz or something, but is the rest of it like this? What's holding
It's
women back
intimidating.
from, is it the intimidation factor, or what is it that's holding these women back?
Yeah, I think specific to investing, there's a fear. There's this underlying, the markets are risky. I don't know. I might make a mistake. I never learned this. So, I don't have a finance degree, so I can't do it. That's what I
Yeah.
see. In general, with saving, I think it comes down to more around just the awareness of your expenses and just kind of having a system to track it and stay on top of it in awareness. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's easy to become disorganized, especially as women become mothers too. Then you're not just managing your own expenses, you start
Right.
managing family expenses, and it can just get a bit out of hand with a lot of those recurring expenses.
That is very true. I know one of the things you talk about too is automated savings, and there are a lot of programs out there now. Talk a little bit about what automated savings are, and how something as little and as simple as that can actually add up over time.
Yeah, that's actually my third tip. Thank you.
Yeah. Good segue.
So my third tip would be, okay, so you understand your vision, right? You know your numbers, those three numbers that I said. Now, really the tip is to start automating things. And when you get I recommend having separate banks for your checking and your savings.
Okay.
So that when you're looking at your checking, you're only seeing that. And that's what your spending money is, right? And that's all you have. You trick yourself mentally into thinking that's all you have.
It's a good
When
point.
your paycheck hits there, you push it to savings. You push a section of that to savings, right?
Yeah.
For savings, I actually like Capital One Bank a bit. I'm sure there are others as well that allow you to do this, but a lot don't. But basically, you can set up like a bunch of mini savings accounts. So let's say you can save, I'm just going to say for easy number, $400 a month. And you could set up 4 different savings where you're putting $100 to your travel fund, $100 to your home down payment fund, $100 to your what they call FU fund, which is allowing you to maybe make a career pivot if you're not happy at your job. And so you can set up different buckets so that it's also not so lump sum, and you can really start to think about where these things are going.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So tip, you have to get it out of the checking so that you can trick yourself into thinking you have less
That's
money
what
than you
I've got.
actually
Right.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I like that idea of the separate accounts too, because
Mhm.
then it's not so easy to just move the money back and forth either, right? I mean,
Right.
you have to,
Right.
it takes extra effort if you want to actually move it from one bank to another bank. And so I like
Yes.
that idea. Plus, you're not seeing it visually, so you can't just say, oh, well, I'll just move some money over savings and I'll go do
From
what
my
I want to
travel
do. So,
account, we're not going for
yeah,
a year or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I like that. That's
Yeah.
Love
really good.
that.
No, for sure.
What's
What
number
else?
Yeah.
four?
What's number four? What's number four that
Okay.
you would
I
recommend?
thought that you both might like number 4 because it's very HR based.
Yes.
So number 4 is to optimize your total compensation. What do I mean by that? So everyone gets a salary.
Mhm.
Well, if you're a salaried worker, you get a salary. Um, but it's not just about your salary. It's about what you're taking home, right? So there's your base salary that's pre-tax. Then there's your take-home salary. You need to know
Right.
the difference between the two numbers.
Mhm.
I can't tell you how many women I managed where they came to talk to me about salary and work and their aspirations, and they didn't even know how much they were making.
Oh, wow. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
But salary, your taxes, and how
Mhm.
what you're deducting, and um, what your tax rate is set up as in your paycheck.
Mhm.
So a lot of people don't like paying taxes, but
Yeah.
if you're paying taxes, you're actually in a better position because you've kept the money in your pocket versus giving it tax free, interest free to Uncle Sam.
Right.
So it's a better place for you if you can keep that money in your pocket, save and invest it, grow it, and then pay the government what you owe them.
Yeah.
So knowing all of that, your health benefits, there are so many times that the benefits offered are so overwhelming to people that
Mhm.
they just pick whatever,
Yeah.
and they're underutilizing it. And maybe they don't need that um, higher cost plan coming out of
That's a
their
great
paycheck.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
401k, there's a lot of companies that offer a match. That's free money.
Yeah.
So understanding
Definitely.
that and optimizing for that. There's a lot of companies that public companies offering ESPP, and so employee
Mhm.
stock purchase
Yeah.
plan. So all of these things, we're coming up on the time of year where you can assess them and see what you're opted into and out of. And
Right.
it's really, really critical. I mean, there's thousands of dollars in difference that you can make in your paycheck as well by
Right.
just capitalizing on what sort of benefits your company offers.
I like that.
Now, I will say, I don't think that HR teams do a great job in educating employees on
It's a really
what's
good
offered.
point. Yeah.
And even if they do, a lot of times they throw like, oh, well, we'll throw our 401k administrator in there to talk about the 401k plan, but it's not resonating with people. It's too high
Yeah.
level. It's oftentimes very antiquated. It's
Mhm.
mansplaining,
Yeah.
and people they're like, I can't understand this. So there's a lot of
Interesting.
opportunity out there for HR teams to and then the HR team say, well, we don't touch tax. But you can educate people around tax and all of
Absolutely.
that and help them make decisions.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of opportunity there. I'd love to one day add that to my financial coaching services where I'm working with employers to help
Yes.
educate
Yeah.
their employees on
Absolutely.
To give them a full
compensation.
picture, right? And
Yeah.
just some
Absolutely.
education on what each of these things is and where you are in your life kind of might make a difference and things like that
Yeah.
Right,
too, right?
right.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah,
well, like health savings accounts, that's a great example there. And you hear about it from the employer all the time, but kind of to your point, who understands the
Mhm.
health savings account, right? And the long-term benefits and how to use that and to your point on the insurance and all. So it's kind of
Yeah.
being able to look at all of it together, right? And that's where HR can provide those financial wellness programs, even if they're not the ones individually, but bringing those financial that are looking at all of it together, right? So thinking about each of those pieces, do you really need that life insurance plan that you're going to pay even more for through your employer? Or, like
Right.
looking at all those different pieces of it, to your point, is that a lot of times, and I do think that that is a benefit that HR can bring to their organizations for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And with health savings accounts, it's often the high deductible plan, which I don't know, like years ago, I feel like there was some fear around doing that because, oh well, if you need to use your health benefits, you're going to pay a lot of out of pocket. So just
Yes.
go with the safer bet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
many people probably don't need to go with that safer bet.
That's
You
true.
are taking a bet, right? But um, you know, ultimately, I feel like there's definitely some impressions across employees about certain things, but they're not getting the full education of what do they need to know to make the actual decision for them.
At the Delta Principle, we are transforming the way you experience change. Have you ever experienced an organizational change where your employees pushed back because it was too much, too fast, or they just didn't understand why they couldn't do things the way they've always done them? What about where communication was non-existent or unorganized, with important updates getting lost in the shuffle, leaving people confused? And have you ever experienced change where morale was at an all-time low because the change felt overwhelming and not aligned with your organization's culture? If you are being asked to lead an important organizational change, especially if you're new to leading change, or if you're just feeling overwhelmed, the Delta Principle is here to support you. We work closely with you as a trusted partner, co-creating real-world solutions to address your unique challenges, and we equip you and your organization for future success. Are you gearing up for your next transformation journey? Or exploring ways to strengthen your change management skills? Then let's connect. This year, we're thrilled to introduce Leading Change, a training designed for leaders driving organizational initiatives, and Navigating Change, a training tailored to empower teams and adapting to change with confidence. Our coaching and training sessions are fully customizable to meet your organization's unique needs. Reach out today to see how we can partner with you to make your next change a success. You can find us on LinkedIn or by emailing us at info@thedeltaprinciple.com.
My fifth is invest early, even if it's not perfect. And so, like I mentioned before, I had to pull my money out from the financial advisor and learn on my own by honestly playing with the market. Back then, it was around 2012. I was actually reading investing magazines. It was still a thing. But there's a lot of education out there now on the internet, on podcasts
Good
to
on
learn.
you.
And yeah, thank you. I don't know if there's investing magazines anymore. There probably are, but there's less of that. But you've got to just play with it and be prepared to fail a little bit. To conquer that fear and get your money in the market, because that's the only way it's going to grow and compound grow over time.
Alana, I have a
Yeah.
question for you. You had mentioned earlier, women need to have that liquid savings account, or people in general need to have that liquid savings account. I know people used to say, previously it was like 6 months to a year of liquid
Good point. Mhm.
savings. What do you recommend now? Is that still the same?
Yeah, I think when I set this up with women, I think about what they have already, what sort of debt they have, because debt doesn't go away, especially even if you have an emergency, right?
Yeah.
And then we go from there. I had also considered the industry they're working in and how the job market is at that time.
Wow.
I still think
Yeah.
6 months to a year is good. I actually feel like the older rule of thumb was 3 to 6 months, and now it's 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
You know, most of the likelihood of what could happen is a layoff. So you have to consider, like, maybe you're getting unemployment to supplement some of that. But ultimately, I feel like 6 months to a year is pretty good for most people.
Well, so let's talk a little bit about the bigger picture, because women still face systemic challenges when it comes to wealth. So, what kind of mindset shifts can we help with our women out there, especially with a lot of our younger people, younger women that are in the career, maybe starting things out, but then even some of our more established women who have been doing this for a while, and maybe, Cyndi and I talk about this all the time, wanting to make that transition out of the day-to-day grind of working for a company, and maybe they want to break out and go and be on their own, but they're afraid to do that. So, what kind of mindset shifts can help women around that?
Yeah. So the good news is, and I actually read an article about this, I think it's changing. I think between like post COVID with everyone getting a taste of flexible work.
Yes.
And that's both on the employee side and the employer side. And then just the rise of people having side hustles and things like
The
that.
gig economy. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's getting easier for women to envision, maybe not having a corporate career, or maybe having a corporate career that's a little more flexible and a side hustle, just different alternative ways of working.
Yeah.
So I think that society's moving in that direction anyway, which is great. I subscribe to a number of different things, like around 4-day work week, which is just growing much more in Europe than here, and all of that. But I do think that everyone's kind of trending in that direction. But the question is, how do you financially set yourself up to have that kind of flexibility?
Goes back to your vision. Yeah.
Yes,
what do you want to accomplish?
Exactly.
Yeah.
As far as the mindset barriers that I hear, I try to work with women around a lot of these different things. And I think, although some of it is psychological, I think that the awareness around their finances, the clarity around the numbers, to be honest, help people take that next step. When you're not clear, you're insecure, you're nervous. And so just finding that clarity. How much do you spend? How much do you need to make? What do you want that you don't have today? What do you need to save for? All of these things, getting really, really clear, then building the plan, then you start to break down the barriers. I'm bad at math. Well, you don't need to be good at math to do this.
That's a simple math.
This is simple math. Plus the apps and everything make it so much simpler.
They do.
Exactly.
The banking apps and stuff even tell you now,
No, so different from the days when we had a checkbook, right? And you were handwriting everything into a checkbook and trying to make sure you were tracking all of that. The apps have made that sort of stuff so much. But it's so funny that is it is one of those things that seems so fundamental, but all that a lot of people don't know what they're actually putting out compared to what they're bringing in, because sometimes, and I see this, unfortunately, I saw this with some women where like maybe their spouse passed away and their husband had always handled everything, and they had no idea what they were supposed to do, and they didn't know how to handle the money side of it because they'd never been empowered to do that. I am kind of curious. I think you're probably seeing a shift towards more and more women taking control of those aspects, but how do you make sure that you don't find yourself in a situation where maybe you're not informed about what's going on, and then you find yourself, it could either be a divorce or breakup or death, that could create a situation where a woman finds herself all of a sudden going, gosh, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah. In my early coaching days, I had worked with some divorcees and some widows, and absolutely, and it's so nerve-wracking. And I think empowering women to feel like they can do this and they can participate in this is the first step.
I love that.
When it's managing just the daily finances. I really recommend, and today I don't delve too much into couples coaching for a reason. I prefer to work with women early on, so they kind of have that
Smart.
clarity and control, and then
I like that.
set things up in a way where it's a true 50-50 partnership.
Mhm.
But anyway, giving women the confidence that they can do this, and that the apps make it easy, and all of that is really the first step. When it comes to investing,
Yeah.
this is one of the things that I'm trying to do in Her Wealth Collective. That's my investing community. Is so the daily finances, it's split up. Some in some cases more traditionally, older generations, the men was more
Yeah.
managing it.
Mhm.
As we're looking at millennials and that group, it's actually
Mhm.
shifted more to the women, which great, but it's another thing for women to handle.
No, it's so
Yeah.
true. I agree.
That's a
Yes.
different podcast.
That's a different
Mental load.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, with investing, it's still really leaning into the male side of things. So I want women to feel like, if you are making a paycheck, you can take some of that and invest some on your own, and let's
Yeah.
together build the confidence to do that.
I
You
like
know what's
that.
so interesting about what you just said too, Alana? When I was my daughter's age, I would have never even thought to invest
No.
and have those conversations, right? She is 21 and she and her roommates talk about how much money is in their 401k, which
I
I
love that. Oh my
absolutely
goodness.
love.
I
There
love
is
that
no,
too.
like, they're just supporting each other too. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, my whatever just made this percentage over this past, 12 months or whatever. And I'm like, that is amazing. You guys are having those conversations.
I love it.
So cool.
I
Yeah.
love to hear that too. And to be honest, I think so. I'm a millennial, on the border to Gen Z. I mean, Gen X. Sorry, not Gen Z.
Uh-huh.
I wish.
Don't we all?
But I think even in my generation, there's still a little bit of an avoidance around women talking about money.
I agree.
But I think Gen Z does not have any shame around
Nope.
talking about
No,
money, and
I
no.
love it.
I hope that continues, right?
Me
Because that's the
too.
first
Yeah.
step too. With women need to be comfortable talking around money with each other.
Yeah.
Men
Like,
are
let's
comfortable
support
talking
each
about
other.
investing.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, because it used to be very taboo, right? It was like those aren't things we talked about. It's like
Yeah.
that was very hush hush. You never, and I think too, like I know for Cyndi and I, we're part of that older generation that I think too, our parents didn't talk to us about money. We had no idea what
Right.
was going on in our families or their financial situation. That you just
I
again,
knew we were
parents didn't
poor.
share that. Yeah, that was painfully obvious, but yeah, but beyond that, I had no idea. Agree with that, Cindy. And then also, they didn't teach any of this in school at all.
No.
It seems so silly that you would that these are the types of classes, and even today, they still don't offer enough financial education for
It's
young
such a life
people
skill.
just those life skills, just understanding how to what you talked about there, Alana, so simple. Expenses, income, what's left
Yeah.
over, kind of like just something that simple. There still is not a lot of conversation around that. And then when you start getting into the complexities around investing and ideas like
Yes.
that, I mean, it's scary, right? Because you're like, oh, what if I lose all my money? Because that's that fear that's out there. And then what am I supposed to do? So,
That's why I love that
so I
you're
like
doing
that.
this, Alana. I think it's
too.
so
Thank
important.
you.
Yeah.
And
I love doing it. I'm
yeah,
so passionate about it.
it's
No, it's
awesome.
great for our community. And this is a good
Yeah.
reminder to our HR folks out there is that as you're thinking about benefit offerings and things that you can do, working with organizations like Alana's, it really can help that. And especially, I think, doing that education around financial planning. And there are so many great tools out there that are available that companies can offer as a benefit that are really no cost to the company, but a huge benefit to their employees. So definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
So Alana, when we think about there is a generational wealth shift that is happening. So what does that mean for women? Talk a little bit about, estate planning and financial literacy and how that kind of plays, because we are starting to see a shift.
Yeah. And so you had mentioned like uh, your parents wouldn't talk to you about money. My parents still won't talk to me about money. And I'm like, hey,
That's the
look,
business you're in. Yeah.
it's
Yes.
going to happen sooner or later that I'm going to find out how much money
Right.
you have or don't have. Please tell me now.
Yes.
And so the great wealth transfer is what the media is calling it. Really just means that women are set to inherit a lot of money, more than $30 trillion,
Wow.
Wow.
as boomers age and pass on.
Mhm.
And there's a number of reasons why that is. One of those reasons is just that women outlive men as well. So even if the
Oh, good
inheritance
point.
goes
Yeah.
to a brother, eventually it may go to a woman, whether the brother's wife or the sister, whatever it is. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of reasons why this money is going to fall into the hands of women. And that is um, concerning in some cases because of this lack of um, financial literacy that is geared towards
Mhm.
women
Mm.
today, around investing and around estate planning. And like I mentioned before, even as we see employers giving education, it's just not vibing with women as much as it is. It's been made for men through the years, and that's kind of
Right.
how it's staged. So there's a lot of opportunity right now with financial education for women because, over the next 2 decades, 3 decades, it's going to change significantly.
Yeah.
And women are going to have money in their hands that they need to do something with, whether
Right.
that's invest in the markets or invest in a business or invest in real estate. There's a lot of opportunity, and women need to um, understand what to do with it, or there's going to be a lot of missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that for sure. It is interesting to think about that. And I'm curious, Cyndi, when you made the decision, like what held you back from moving faster into starting your own business? I know you and I have talked about this on the show before, but like what was your mental process as you thought about leaving the work world and kind of coming in? Because, I'm sure you had to kind of think about all these different
Oh,
things
yeah.
that Alana has brought up. So,
Well, one of the first things that I did, well, a couple of things. So I knew I needed Runway. So I had seen the writing on the wall that there was going to be some changes in this company that I absolutely loved working for and working with. So I knew, okay, start saving, so I was very diligent about that to have that liquid
yeah,
savings account that Alana
yeah.
speaks to, right? So I knew I had some runway. Also, one of the very first things that I did when I launched my business is I went and met with a financial person at my bank that does my business accounts.
Okay.
And I hired a CPA. So to me, it's like I don't understand. I understand at a very rudimentary level, obviously, the money in and out and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
I need the experts to educate me, to help me. And what I will tell you is the first CPA that I hired, I felt like she didn't do a very good job for me and she didn't explain and educate me. So
So
I
important.
fired her.
Yeah. I
Um,
like that.
and now I
Yeah.
have an amazing woman who does the CPA stuff for me. And she's constantly educating me and is amazing. And she's
Yeah.
my age. So like, I think you have to also find the person that you trust.
I like that.
Back to
Yeah.
what Alana was saying, and don't be afraid to fire someone.
Yeah.
If they are
Yeah.
not, they don't have your best interest at heart, or if they just don't understand, and if they're not educating you, do not
Yeah.
spend or waste any time on that person. Move
I
on.
like that. That's good. No, that's really good advice. I think that's great. And it just kind of shows because you started your entrepreneurial journey later in life. Alana, you started yours a little bit earlier in life, but in both cases, you had a situation that maybe pushed you to make that. Maybe you'd been thinking about it. What advice, Alana, would you give for women who maybe don't wait for that thing that forces you to finally follow your dream? What can you be doing to maybe be a little more proactive in that, aside from the runway and the savings? Like, how do I get myself mentally prepared to just say, you know what, I've wanted to do this forever. I'm not going to wait for something to be that catalyst. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to make the decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I had been able to do it on my own terms, but either way, it worked out well. So I'm
And
happy
for
about
both
it.
of you, it
Yeah,
really
for
has. You
sure.
both have amazing businesses for sure. Yes.
But yeah, I work with a lot of women, and again, there's so many barriers that we have to break down. So like
Yeah.
once we talk about their vision, and it's kind of like, well, what's stopping you from doing that today?
Right. Yeah.
And if it's the money, you're building a plan to get there. And
Yeah.
sometimes when we look at the numbers, it's 12 months away, 24 months away. You can work it out if you work really
Right.
hard to be
Yep.
in the short term,
Yeah. I like
or
that.
even partially in the short term. It doesn't always have to be all or nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I think asking that question first is what's stopping you from doing
Yeah.
it today? What's stopping you from doing it tomorrow? What's the list of things? And kind of digging into that more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then if it's not money, if it's something else, then you're kind of working through those things. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone has life and complexities, and maybe it's the age
Absolutely.
of their children, or maybe it's just a mindset framework, and so that's it. But I really would just ask them, why can't you do that tomorrow?
I like that.
And
Yeah.
see where it takes them.
And I
No.
think you have to keep revisiting it too, right?
That's
So
a great
like I
point,
don't
Cyndi.
just
Yeah.
it wasn't a one and done for me. I
Right.
constantly, spend some time going through my business, but also a big part of that is the financial side of things, right?
That's
And
a great
saying,
point.
okay, back to what you were saying, Alana, today, here's where I'm at. What am I looking forward to in the next year, in the next 3, in the next 5? How do I get there? And how do
Yeah.
I make sure my finances can support me in that?
Yeah, I like that. Well, and I think too, one of the great things around all of this is that determining what is enough for you, right? I think that's the other piece is like, we're not, kind of to your point, Alana, if you're making enough money to cover your expenses, and then you can look at creating passive income opportunities around that, what is
Mhm.
it that's going to make you happy? Because I do think we get very caught up in thinking that, if I'm a millionaire or multimillionaire, then that's going to be the thing that makes me the most happy. And chances are pretty good that's probably not it. So it really kind of goes back to what both of you have said is figuring out what are my goals, what are my aspirations, and that does sometimes it's just I don't want to be in the rat race anymore. I want to do something that's for me, about me, and makes me happy and fulfilled, and that's what I want to do. And that's okay. Go for that. I mean, it doesn't always have
Yep.
to be just about how much money can I make as much as long as I can make enough money to make sure that, I'm taking care of myself, my family, whatever those goals are. So yeah, I really like that.
I would
No.
add, salary is also one of those things that you kind of end up not really thinking about. Okay, you get a salary, you get a raise, and then you just kind of start on this, you know, uh, merry-go-round
Yeah.
of okay, that's what I always made, so I need to make more than that, and I need to.
Yeah.
But do
Mm,
you really? You
Yeah.
have to dig deep and
good
think about
question.
what you need and what
Yeah.
you want, and then arrive at okay, well, I can do this and make that salary, and that would make me happy, and that's good enough,
I love that.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah,
Great
such great
conversation.
advice.
Mhm.
Absolutely. No. Well, as we kind of wrap up, we've talked about some money moves. We've talked about shifting our mindset and really taking control of, your financial future. How can our listeners get a hold of you, Alana? How can they connect with you if they're out there and they're like, man, I really need some good financial advice? How do they
And the
connect?
worksheet you talked about
And the
too. I think
worksheet. Yeah,
that's awesome.
absolutely. I love the worksheet.
yeah. So to learn more about what I'm doing, I recommend going to my website. You can go to www.joinherwealth.com. It will redirect you
Nice.
to my main website. And then that's really for Her Wealth Collective. And then you can look at the resources page as well, where I'll add the worksheet, and people can check it out there. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, and tune into Instagram soon. I'm working on it. But
Yeah.
that'll be my next
Awesome.
platform.
No,
Yeah.
we're very excited. Well, let us know when you get
Congratulations.
that
That's awesome.
launched. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we can push that out to all of our listeners as well. I think we can all use that guidance and support and help. And I love
Oh,
what
yeah.
you're out there doing. And I love that your focus is on single women. Not to your point, not take anything away from the couples, but let's start young. Let's really train up our these young women to
Yeah.
set themselves up for financial success, and then it does make it more of a partnership when they get into those relationships. So I love what you're doing. I think it's great.
Thank you so much. It was so nice chatting with you both.
Good
It
to
was
talk to
great
you as
having you
well,
on.
Alana. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're
Well, to
awesome.
all of our listeners out there, thanks for another great episode. And this was your request to bring someone on to talk about this. And so hopefully this was something that was really helpful for all of you. I know it was for me. I always learn something from our
Yeah, for sure.
guests and from my stupendous co-host, Cyndi Manuel. I always learn from her as well.
Back
So
at
well, check out Alana's coaching program.
Is it stupendous every episode,
Nope.
or do we have a new descriptor every time?
New descriptor
She is
every
so
time.
creative,
Nice.
Alana. Yeah.
I gotta always think of what's a new word I can use to describe Cindy.
That's
So
awesome.
for sure. Well, check out Alana's coaching program and her investing community out there as well. And if you like this episode, like, post, share. Cindy and I always appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you all on our next episode. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of the HR Her Resources podcast. We're so happy to have you with us on this journey. Music and production by Logan Misegadis of LJM Productions. We'd also like to thank our intern, Lauren Banas, for creating our logo and supporting our social media postings. If you'd like to connect with Logan or Lauren, you can find their information in the show notes. If you found value in our discussion and think someone else might as well, please follow, subscribe to our LinkedIn, and share with a friend. Until our next episode, please take care and continue to support one another.